So for anyone who hasn't seen it today, Kinleith Mill confirmed today that there was 230 job losses. So we will let them talk.
130 workers at Kinleith Mill near Tokoroa were given the message today that they were losing their jobs. A union negotiator responded with a 3-word message for the Prime Minister: "You have failed." Joe Gallagher said there wasn't universal support among the coalition for heavy industry. Mill owners OG Fibre Solutions are continuing with their plan to cease paper production and are moving to a focus on pulp. Senior political correspondent Jenna Lynch reports.
Stephen Reid making the call, letting people know it's over.
When they shut the paper mill line down on around the 30th of June, that's going to be me gone.
This guy is way too chipper. I would not be that upbeat when I'm losing my job. I'm sorry. Good for him. You're muted, Mage.
He's 21 years old as well. That's a 21-year-old, guys. Like, how ratchet. And he's just so wholesome. But yeah, let's keep going.
Life will move on.
Yeah, good on him for being chipper.
Stevens will be one of the 230 jobs to go when its paper operation closes at the end of June. And that doesn't include all the contractors.
I don't know if I'm safe or not.
I just feel sorry for those guys with the young families and the paper mill.
I'm okay. It's these younger ones that have started here and they've just, same too, young family, but just bought a house and now they're in the shit.
The impact will be felt not just by the families, the knock-on effects to the small Waikato town of Tokoroa will be enormous.
Major affect the town, like I said, businesses like supermarkets, the butchers, like building businesses, electrician businesses, carpet layers, no painters and all, won't be able to afford to do it all again now.
This town was built on this mill, and this is a bitter blow for the South Waikato.
Air 2 negotiation specialist Joe Gallagher gave the impression the writing had been on the wall.
In our view, they haven't taken anything that was said seriously. There's clearly been a lack of capital investment in this plant over the last 10 years, and that's further been exacerbated by the power and the gas price. As of last night, megawatt was $300 a megawatt. You just can't run a heavy industry plant on that.
The union had a pointed message to the Prime Minister.
You have failed. Your government has failed. You do not care about manufacturing in this country. You do not care about New Zealand workers, and it is a disgrace.
In a statement, OG Chief Executive Dr. John Ryder recognised it wasn't the news anyone was hoping to hear. He said the focus would now be on the transition plan to close the paper machine and continue pulp operations. He added that the company was looking forward to working closely with the government on next steps.
3 News understands Regional Development Minister Shane Jones spoke with the CEO in early February to try and come up with a plan to redeploy.
Yeah, Shane Jones was definitely trying to help. He definitely was trying to save their jobs.
Oh my god! And that union rep just said it all basically. Just you failed.
Let's hear that again. Should we replay it? Yeah. I want to replay it.
As of last night, megawatt was $300 a megawatt. You just can't run a heavy industry plant on that.
The union had a pointed message to the Prime Minister.
You have failed. Your government has failed. You do not care about manufacturing in this country. You do not care about New Zealand workers, and it is a disgrace.
And I mean, you're right. And he said it all.
Writing's on the wall. But what did Labour do?
Oh, yeah. And they
didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, it's really difficult to not only, see, let's be real. That man is clearly more knowledgeable and more articulate than Christopher Luxon. That guy would make a better Prime Minister for this country.
Put him on the podium.
Oh, mate, I'd follow him into battle for sure. And that's what's frustrating is you've got all these people who are in the spaces like Air 2 who are trying to, stand up for people who are trying to actually help, the squeezed middle, the lower, all of that. They're the ones that are in these positions, not on the 9th floor.
Yeah, and what he said about just you haven't listened. You haven't listened to us. That seems to be a common theme, going right back to the negotiations with police. Even just that no one listening to anything these unions are saying. They need help. They need support. They need, more funds. But just it like has anything been done? Has anything happened?
Other than undoing what Labour did, honestly,
Yeah.
that's really all that's coming to mind is just whatever they've undone. That's really what, or I guess fast track. You could argue that fast track is something they have done. I don't.
Maybe they upped the paper budget in the government.
And this is the thing, though, too, is that this, like I mentioned earlier in the thing, Tokoroa is not a very big place. 230, and like they said, they don't know about the contractors either, so that number could actually be higher. That is a lot of people to lose jobs in a very small community, a community that already has, issues and, lower socioeconomic issues. I've got, my mum grew up there. It's not a super wealthy place. Like they said, that town was kind of built around those industries. So to just completely gut them and do nothing is just a disgrace.
And I'm just seeing someone talking about the union losing membership and thereby losing power to affect change. I mean, that's not necessarily true. To a certain extent, some people may move on and leave the union, but just because people lose their jobs does not mean that the union just doesn't give them the boot. They will support them as much as they can through this. As well as E2 is actually quite big. Just coming through Melbourne Airport, they're doing a big rework there, and they got a bunch of workers there with their E2 shirts on. So they're not just restricted to New Zealand. They operate overseas.
I wasn't aware that they were actually outside of New Zealand. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they actually operate like unionization on businesses in Australia. I'm not sure of that, but they definitely support New Zealand workers abroad. I know that much.
That's really, really cool. Yeah, no, and that's awesome. Also, I think Kiwi Burb here brings up another good point is that Tokoroa relies on forestry. So, this is going to impact that too. There are so many aspects. And, like they were saying, it's not necessarily the older people, they've got job experience. They've probably got things built up. They're not as struggling. But it's those young ones, like that 21-year-old we saw at the beginning, who, just I feel like his smile was probably a little, trying to hide the pain. But the young people who are just trying to do jobs. And this thing is what? Now they're going to have to go on the benefit that are having more sanctions put on them. They're going to get made to feel bad for as well.
Yeah, you're going to have about 200 people coming in on wins. And sorry guys, I just some water went down the wrong way, so I might sound a bit funny.
Don't drown on the show, please.
I'm sorry.
I don't think ACC will cover that. Yeah.
Do they not? Does ACC not cover drowning?
Well, if you drown yourself, I don't know, maybe. Also, I see here, if we can subsidize an aluminium plant, why can't we do the same for this industry? And I wasn't even aware that we actually did subsidize an aluminium plant. So that's a really good point. But maybe it's because aluminium is metals that are mined out of the earth. Maybe that's why. Maybe Shane Jones was like, yeah, do it. But maybe because it's trees. I don't know. All I know is that it's really horrible and it's a devastating blow to, the community. And I just hate to think how long it's going to take them to really recover from the long-term effects of this, really. That's what worries me, is that there's going to be a lot of families struggling.
But there might be a short-term uptick in people applying for wins, which will look bad. It'll look bad on someone.
Yeah, but also I never wish wins on anybody, honestly. It is such a demoralizing and stressful position to be in. People love to be like, oh, well, you're getting free money from the government. Well, first of all, everyone pays taxes, including beneficiaries.
Yeah, and look, I'd been under both a national and a Labour government. When I was under national, it was constant, ringing you up. You know, you got to come in, you got to like go through all this arbitrary bullshit. Like, you know, you got to show all the jobs you've applied for, and like, even if none of it's nothing you want or nothing that is suitable for you. But when I was under Labor, I didn't hear a peep from them the entire time. I think I was unemployed for about almost 2 years. It might have been longer than that. But I eventually managed to find a full-time paying job and settled in the right position, and I'm doing great year and a half later. So, you know, sometimes that's all you need is just a little bit of time and just to get back on your feet, and that's all it takes, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is it's an investment in the long term, you know. It's like they say with, like, if you get COVID, right? They say don't push yourself, don't try to go too hard and try to get back into things too fast, because you might actually do more damage and actually basically take longer to recover. It's the same premise. Sometimes people need a bit of time, whatever situations are going on. We support them for a bit, and then they're able to actually go into a full-time job rather than maybe end up in a part-time job and having issues. Like,
yeah, and if it's someone who's not able to hold a job, like sometimes it's maybe better to start looking at what's going on inside their life and what might be preventing them from holding that job, and maybe starting there. Like that can be a better approach too, starting with your mental health, starting with the place you live, your style of living. It can all have a dramatic effect on just holding a job.
Well, yeah, and I think like that's a really good point too, because I think with that whole appropriateness of jobs is that like a lot of the time it's not necessarily that also that people can't work, it's that they can't work what's available, because like realistically not every person can fulfill every job. It would be great if we could all just mix and match and be able to do whatever, but that's not realistically true. You know, some of us have, say, chronic pain issues and we can't do certain jobs, or some of us have narcolepsy. You know, there are people who literally fall asleep because they have no choice.
I'm lazy and take shortcuts. You don't want me in some kind of safety job.
You know what? That is actually so true. That is actually a very thing. It's like, if you know that about yourself, if you know you can't pay attention like that, then yeah, we don't want you in a safety position.
No, you do not.
So yeah, and like that's why it always, it's infuriating me at the moment that we're just continuing to see more and more areas where this government is enabling, either by directly cutting jobs or indirectly cutting jobs by not helping and intervening. So not only are they continuing to grow their beneficiary numbers, they're continuing to target them, because we actually have another story a little bit later we might touch on very briefly about, you know, Kaingaora being attacked, tenants being attacked again. Like,
and there's no excuse for any of this either. Like we went through COVID and we kept all these businesses afloat. And we managed to do it then. You can do this now with one freaking paper mill, you know. You could, the government can intervene. They have the opportunity to do that. They're just not. So
yeah, I mean, they intervened and gave landlords tax cuts. So, you know, they could have done this. And like we keep saying, everything is a choice. Everything they do is a choice. This is one of them.
And again, this is privately owned, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
yes. And that's nothing that's that's something that's not really, you know, sort of ringing out throughout the media when it happens, when privatization fails, when private stuff fails. But that's not going, oh no, this doesn't work. But when public services fail, it's just the biggest deal.